Hey, what's going on, guys? RhinoRatesMusic here, and yes, we are here for our lists, our music lists for 2024. Now that 2024 has officially or is about to come to an end, we are going to go through some of the best and worst moments of 2024. So I'm sure a lot of you guys would be here from my TikTok page where I make most of my content and promote most of my content, and on my page I've already uploaded my worst albums of 2024, which I decided not to do in a list format because one, this was a massive year for music that so much came out that there were times where I had trouble keeping up with it all. And secondly, because there was just so much shit that came out that when it came to the album releases that I knew were going to be shit, I just didn't bother with some of them. So because of that, I just decided to count some of my least favorite albums of this year in no particular order. However, when it comes to some of the worst songs, those were ones that were easier for me to listen to, or harder to listen to at the same time, because yeah, these songs were some of the toughest listens for me this year. But because of that, and because of how unavoidable some of these songs were, I was definitely going to do a worst songs of 2024 list, so that's what we're here for. So originally I was going to do a top 10, but despite the amount of great music we got this year, there were a lot of shit songs where I almost extended it to a top 20, but then I decided to reduce it to a top 15 just to, reduce you guys and myself of some pain. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started with this list. So coming in at the number 15 spot, we have KSI and Trippie Redd with Thick of It. Now, I know that this song has become very easy to make fun of and criticize and troll KSI for lately. I'm seeing a lot of people ranking amongst one of the top 5 worst songs of the year, and while I don't think it's that bad, and I almost considered not putting this song on the list, because, yeah, I don't think it's the absolute worst song of this year, hence why it's not higher, but it's still a shit song. One, the auto-tune on KSI and Trippie Redd's voice. I mean, Trippie Redd has just been going down this pathway lately, especially with what he did on that MGK EP he did, which I listed in my worst albums of the year list. So it just doesn't sound much better here. KSI needs to use auto-tune so much to make up for some of his vocal shortcomings, but not in the 808s and heartbreak sort of sense. More in the sense where it sounds so overproduced, so artificial, and just so fake. And on top of it, on the lyrics, just bragging about where he is, what he's done in life, and just talking about a whole lot of nothing. But I think what sealed it for me with including this song on the list has been KSI's reaction to the whole thing. He's been making a bunch of videos reacting to people's negative reactions to the songs, and do I think some people overreact a little bit? Maybe, but at the same time, some of them are right to, because the song sucks, it's egotistical, the music video itself is egotistical as fuck, and the way he's promoting his Prime and Lunchables is just cringeworthy, and the way he's been reacting to it, taking the criticism, just blaming it on, say, oh, you guys just love to hate on everything I do, but it's a banger, actually. If it weren't for Dan TDM, you guys would be loving the song. Come on, mate, don't bring Dan TDM into this, please. Okay, so at the number 14 spot, we have Imagine Dragons with Eyes Closed. Now, again, another part of me didn't want to put this song on this list because there's something about this song that's so entertaining, albeit bad, but so bad that it's kind of entertaining. Just I can do it with my eyes closed, just makes me laugh every single time. The sudden beat drop with the weird vocal effects on the chorus. It's like on this track, Dan Reynolds and the band are trying to get more experimental here, which made this album a bit more enjoyable to listen to than some of the last few Imagine Dragons records, but not essentially enjoyable in a good way, more in a very ironic way, and this song is the prime example of that. When Imagine Dragons tried to experiment, it just comes across as laughable, but more to the point where I'm more laughing at the band than I am with the band, and this song just, from the production, the performance, the cliches, and it's just awful. Albeit funny, but still awful, and that's why it's landing on the number 14 spot. At the number 13 spot, we are going with Snow 40 and Drake with Wagwan Delilah, which, spoiler alert, is not the only Drake inclusion on this list. Now, of course, this year in hip-hop, we saw quite a lot of beef, and that resulted in some of the best songs of this year, but it also resulted in some of the worst songs of this year, which we are going to get to later on the list, don't you worry. But we're starting with this song, which was basically Drake's way of taking the L. He knew he had lost after Not Like Us came out, and then he dropped The Heart Part 6. He knew he had lost, so he decided just to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do a cover that I have absolutely no place to do and am not the right artist to do a cover of this kind of song, and make it just absolutely cringe, but just be like, oh well, I'm fucking around, guys, and I think it's funny. Again, Drake, we're laughing at you, not with you, because yeah, the song is just laughably bad, the auto-tune is awful, the way the cover's done, I'm not even a big fan of the original Hey There Delilah, but this song makes the original sound like a masterpiece. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's just that bad. And I just think it's cringe that Drake chooses to take the L in this way. And again, just another horrible example of bad interpolating this year, which is also going to be at our number 12 spot, where I've picked Pitbull and Bon Jovi with Now or Never, which, yes, Pitbull is still at it with trying to act so hype and like he's the man who you want to invite at all the parties, and just makes all his songs about the parties and about where he's going. And this song, he's sampling or interpolating the chorus of Bon Jovi's It's My Life. And it's one of the most awful things I've heard this year. Not only is the way this song is interpolated cringe, and I don't even hate the original It's My Life. I actually quite like it. I like quite a few Bon Jovi songs more than a lot of other people do. I won't lie. So I am no ways a Bon Jovi hater, but I would be lying if I said that I've liked any of their newer stuff, and I would also be lying to say that I liked this song, which Pitbull just made insanely worse with his awful performance, his very cliche hype man type energies trying to put in this song, the white boy rapping that just doesn't go well, and yeah, it's just a weird crossover, and I don't know why it happened. At the number 11 spot, just missing the top 10 spot, we are going with Katy Perry with Woman's World. Man, Katy Perry's fall off just really needs to be studied now, doesn't it? And when it comes to Katy Perry's fall off this year with 143, this song is basically the pinnacle of it. Not only is this song awful in terms of the production, the very cliche lyrics, but just the fact that it's her trying to go for a feminist anthem saying that about women empowerment while being produced by Dr. Luke. Like, it seems like Katy Perry brought back Dr. Luke to try and bring back the old Katy Perry, but all that came out of it was just it sounding like you're trying to fit into your pajamas that you once fit in when you're like 10 years old. Yeah, it just doesn't work. The production sounds outdated, it sounds synthetic as hell. Katy Perry's style that she's using also sounds outdated, and again, any sort of like feminist ethical movement or stance on women empowerment that she's trying to go for in this song just falls flat on his face and comes across as almost fake. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we are going to go with Camila Cabello with I Love It, 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 featuring Playboi Carti. Yes, what I did just there is basically how the chorus is. It is that annoying, it is that cringe. Camila Cabello just seems to be running out of ideas at this point, to the point where she goes and rips off some of the other bigger pop artists this year, like Charli XCX, but not just watering it down, but absolutely disrespecting it. Like, we don't need this shit, okay? This is the stuff that the people, the mainstream pop fans who hate on Charli XCX and her fans for liking Brat, actually secretly listen to and actually like, because they're like, oh, but this is actually different, this actually sounds tolerable, and this is actually coming from an artist that's actually successful, unlike Charli XCX. That's the only sort of people who like this song. Either that or the Playboi Carti meat writers who literally love every single thing he does. But I'm sorry, 2024 was a horrible year for Playboi Carti, doing some of the worst features this year, working with some of the worst artists like Camila Cabello and Kanye West, who, spoiler alert, is also on this list, and just absolutely embarrassing himself with not dropping his new album. Which, things like this just make me less and less and less excited for Playboi Carti's new album, because his feature on this song is cringe as well, and just makes the song even worse. Alright, coming at the number 9 spot, we have Sexy Red with You My Everything featuring Drake. Now, I know there's been a lot of mixed reactions to Sexy Red's music. You have people like Fantano who loves her music and loves what she does, and then you have a lot of hip-hop fans who are clowning him for loving her music, and a lot of hip-hop fans who hate her music. Me, personally, I've been kind of in between. I am not the biggest fan of Sexy Red. I think sometimes she kind of just buries herself into a corner, and really did on her newest album, kind of doing the same thing a lot, kind of like Ice Spice. However, one thing I do like about Sexy Red is the rawness she has in her song. She's kind of like the female Chief Keef in a way, hence why I loved her collab with Chief Keef that she did earlier this year. However, this song, when it comes to Sexy Red, anything that I did like about Sexy Red or admire about her is not here. Her performance sounds artificial, phoned in, and just absolutely cringe. The chorus I cannot stand, her lyrics are just very cliche, and on top of that, the instrumental sounds garbage. But I think the worst part about this song has to be the Drake feature. Not only are his lyrics insanely cringe like they have been on a lot of tracks he's done this year, but when you get the sample of the BBL Drizzy in there, it's as if he's trying to incorporate that in a way, saying like, yeah guys, even though I took the L, even though Kendrick destroyed me and absolutely embarrassed me, and that Metro Boomin also joined in on that by making an instrumental about me, I can join in on the fun, guys. I can, be part of it. I can acknowledge I lost, but still have a good laugh, because we all laughing, guys. Drake, for the third and final time, we are laughing at you, not with you, okay? Yeah, just the way him incorporating this sample as if he's trying to just have his cake and eat it too and make his L not seem as bad is just absolutely cringe, and I'm not having any of it. Alright, coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign with Carnival. How the fuck did this song get as big as it did? This song went to number 1, but despite that, it didn't take long for this song just completely drop off, where I've almost forgotten it, and I had to re-listen to it, which cost me part of my brain cells, but I had to do it for this video, and yeah, it's still awful. The fact that this is one of the few Kanye West songs to go number 1, along with songs like Stronger and Gold Digger, just absolutely blows my mind that that song is even put next to those classic Kanye songs. But even outside of that, even outside of like Kanye's classic stuff and mourning the insane downfall of Kanye West, this song just basically confirms that Kanye is not just fallen off as a person, but as an artist too. Not only are the chants on this song insanely cliche and just sound cultish and just cringe, but his lyrics just come across as incredibly predatory, and it's the kind of lyrics that you would imagine a fucking teenager with high libido to make. And I'm not talking about the Geordie Greek kind of way where he does it in a creative, theatrical way. I'm talking the guy who does it in a predatory and creepy way. On top of that, the instrumental sounds like bad industrial trap, but you take it back to the 2000s a little bit, which is ironic considering that back in the 2000s, Kanye was making music that was actually creative, way more creative than any of that shitty rap EDM that was coming out during that time. And now it seems like he's kind of embracing that on this song 20 years later, and it just sounds even more outdated. And on top of that, the Rich the Kid feature is weak, and the Playboi Carti feature is awful too. Now, coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Falling in Reverse with Ronald. What can I say about this song that hasn't been said already? What hasn't been said about Falling in Reverse, specifically Ronnie Radke? Why is it that Ronnie Radke is a guy who, on this song and on this album, is trying to act like a bad boy, saying, yeah, I like to fuck shit up, I like to do bad things, because I'm a bad boy, But then at the same time, you look at his activity on Twitter, and he's the kind of guy who's like crying and yelling at people who are calling him out on his shitty actions, saying shit like, oh, why are you guys trying to cancel me? Why are you guys being so mean to me? Why is Fantano and Brad Tasted Music making fun of me? Fuck those guys. Make up your fucking mind, Ronnie, please. And on top of that, on this song, he further tries to bring that bad boy kind of energy by bringing Alex the Terrible, a person who has a covered up Nazi tattoo on him, and also Tech Nine, you know, the very cliche fast boy rapper that's only liked by some of the old school hip hop incels. Yeah, that Tech Nine. Yeah, seems like the perfect combination for making a shitty rap metal song that can only be loved by some of the shitty rap metal incels online. Now, coming at number 6 spot, speaking of shitty rap metal, actually no, in this case it's more Christian metal, we have Skillet with Unpopular. Let me explain what this song is in a nutshell. Basically, Skillet complaining about how they're unpopular, they come out with opinions that are disliked by the people, that are unpopular, and that they are Christians and they think they're so oppressed because they're not allowed to speak their minds, over some of the most cliche, shittiest guitar riffs and drum performances you'll ever hear this year. And on top of that, the lead singer on Skillet lately has just been making some special appearances on places like Fox News. So, what more do you want to hear about him? Other than the fact that this song and the album it came with fucking sucks. Don't listen to it. Alright, now coming in at number 5 spot, it is JoJo Siwa with Karma. Man, what do I even say about this song? Not only is JoJo Siwa's performance awful and insanely synthetic, and not only is the instrumental crap, but the fact the song itself wasn't even written by JoJo. It was a song originally written by Britt Smith over 10 years ago, and something similar became a song that was produced by Timbaland. And that song was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. But in this context, the song sounds outdated as fuck, fake as fuck in terms of the performance and the overall aesthetic of it, and JoJo Siwa trying to embrace this new bad girl persona and, you know, looking like Gene Simmons while simultaneously not even knowing who Gene Simmons or anyone who influenced this new style is. And the fact that, you know, she's just taking this art form, and the fact that she's taking this song originally written by someone else, is just also disrespectful and just showcases one of many examples of how synthetic and how watered down a lot of modern mainstream art is becoming right now. JoJo, you should have just stuck to your kids pop related shit. Now, coming in at the number 4 spot, we have Cash Cobain and J. Cole with Grippy. Where have we gone to where on this worst songs of the year list I'm including Playboi Carti, Drake, and Kanye West, and now J. Cole on a worst songs of the year list? What's happening? J. Cole, the man who would rarely miss with features, provides not only easily his worst feature here, but one of the worst rap features I have heard all year. His flow, his performance sounds insanely awkward and cringe, but not as awkward and as cringe as the lyrics on this track. She gonna chew on this stick like it's Wrigley's. Believe it or not, like it's Ripley's. I can't read any more lyrics of this track because I'm probably going to throw up on camera, and as a result, my video is going to get deplatformed on YouTube and probably taken down, so I'm not going to risk reading any more lyrics of this god-awful song. Righto, now coming at the number 3 spot, we have T-Pain and Mark Zuckerberg, yes, that Mark Zuckerberg, with Get Low. Now, typically, I don't include covers on this list, but considering that we got some god-awful ones that just basically ruined the original songs and were done either in ways that just absolutely embarrass the artist, like on Wagwan Delilah, or in this case, where we have one of the biggest assholes on this planet, Mark Zuckerberg, doing a song with T-Pain and doing a very insanely synthetic NPC white boy cover of Get Low. And when I say NPC, I mean NPC. Mark Zuckerberg's the kind of guy who's just so NPC and just so nothing, like he's like a robot. And that's how he sounds on this song. It's like T-Pain got in Robot Zuckerberg, programmed him to make a very stale, generic, white boy folk pop cover of a classic song, and just call it a day and add some of his vocals onto it. But it's just the fact that he worked with Mark Zuckerberg, like T-Pain. What were you thinking? My God, and the song itself just sounds absolutely terrible. I don't ever ever want to hear it again. And quite frankly, after I originally heard this song, I didn't even want to hear the original version. And the original version is good. That's how horrible this song is. Never again. And once again, it's just another example of how a lot of mainstream art, a lot of mainstream pop music is just becoming so dumbed down. Even though that was not the case for a lot of great mainstream pop releases we got this year, which I'm going to get to on my best songs and albums lists. But before we get to that, I've still got 2 more songs to cover on this list. So at the number 2 spot, we have Nicki Minaj with Bigfoot. Speaking of awful diss tracks, this was the pinnacle of them. Now, when it comes to the Kendrick and Drake beef, that's arguably the biggest beef we've had in hip-hop in a long time, and probably going to be the biggest we'll have this decade. And that was one that, even though Drake absolutely took the L and embarrassed himself after with Wagwan Delilah and You My Everything and The Heart Part 6 right after, he at least came out with push-ups, which I think was a decent response and did prompt Kendrick to make an even better response, or more of them, and it was shit like that that made that beef entertaining. But then we also, on the other hand, had beef between Megan and Nicki Minaj, with Megan dropping a secret diss towards Nicki, not even like a heavy diss. She didn't even focus the whole song on her. It was just a subtle diss towards Nicki, and Nicki just took it so personally to the point where she not only goes and writes a whole track about her, but goes and writes a awful track responding to Megan that just shows her completely lying out of her ass every single word, having little to no energy or charisma or confidence in her performance, as if she knows she's lying and can't sound confident enough when saying them, and with one of the worst instrumentals I've heard on any diss track in recent times. Also, the whisper part at the end is absolutely corny. Like, it's not just the fact that this song itself is god-awful, why it's on this list, but it's the fact that this song is so bad, it's probably going to be the beginning of the end for Nicki Minaj's career, unless she literally deletes this song out of her discography, apologizes to her fans for putting her through this torture, and forcing her fans to try their absolute hardest to pretend to like this song, to be like, yeah, this song it's incredible. Go stream it, guys. Because, you know, her barbs will literally do anything she asks her to do. But I think those people need an apology for her forcing them to like this song. And also apologize to Megan. Because Megan, she came out with a, granted, creative, but very subtle diss towards Nicki. And she took it the wrong way. It's just an example of Nicki not being able to take the fact that new artists are coming in. New women are coming into the scene of hip-hop, and there's way more room in it than just for one, Nicki, okay? And on top of that, the fact that this could have been a more entertaining beef between Megan and Nicki, like how it was with Kendrick and Drake. Maybe not as entertaining as it was Drake and Kendrick, but still could have been more entertaining. But the diss was so bad, Megan thought no reason to respond to it because it was shit, and nearly everybody who heard it thought it was shit. And that's why it's landing at the number 2 spot. But coming in at the number 1 spot, the worst song of 2024, in my opinion, was an absolute atrocity that we got earlier this year that my ears were just cursed with, that I just wish my ears could and my brain could completely erase. But unfortunately, it maybe did at one point because it came out at the very start of the year, but when making this list and when seeing other people's worst lists, I just got reminded of it. And that's going to be Tom McDonald and Ben Shapiro with Facts. I don't need to explain why this song is so bad. Let me play the clip.
If you want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect. Let's look at the stats, I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic, don't be a wap. Dog, it's...
Like, not only does that sound like an AI-generated verse, but it comes across with all of the exact same cliches that you would expect to hear from Ben Shapiro and the right-wing propaganda he promotes, and tries to use flowery language and smart words to try and make himself sound smarter. And then Tom McDonald with his shtick of making the exact same fucking song, complaining about cancel culture, leftists, also trans people, also Black Lives Matter, over and over again. To the point where Tom McDonald released a lot of shit songs this year, and I don't even want to bother including him because I don't listen to him. But this song was an exception. I had to include it on this list because this is like the pinnacle of trash Tom McDonald songs, but on top of it, you put Ben Shapiro in it. That just made it even worse. because the guy is not only an idiot himself, but he cannot rap for shit. And it just is so awful to hear, and that's why it easily makes my number 1 spot for the worst song of 2024. Whew, okay, now that that's over, that was my worst songs of the year. Thank you guys for watching. If you got to the end, leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me what your least favorite song of this year was, and stay tuned for my next video, which is going to be the best songs of 2024, and I'll see you guys there. Take care. Bye-bye.